that there are beasts to work at a company. You're a beast, but there are also alpha beasts that are inside of that company, and they just command different. How are you commanding? Well, are you in a leadership role right now? And I'm telling you, whether you have an official title or you don't, you are in a leadership role. Your kids are watching you. Your family's watching you. Your coworkers are watching you. Your employees are watching you. How do you show up? Do you show up like in a defeated day, or do you show up like, I got this? No matter what the situation is, are you walking into that situation like, I got this? Or are you walking in the situation like, the situation's got me? Because just how you show up will either inspire the confidence of your team, or it will have them begin to question, well, God, if this is my leader and my leader looks defeated, what chance do we have?
You actually took time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you.
You know, everyone thinks leadership is just about what you say. But do you remember when you were a kid, your mother and father saying things like, stand up straight, look a man in the eye, look a woman in the eye, be confident. You remember these old conversations growing up, right? Because that's about how you show up. But what I didn't know back then, was that they were giving the most basic foundational lesson on leadership. My name is JamesAdlam. Today we're going to have a conversation about how you show up. My hope is that you get value out of this. You get value out of this, I want you to comment. Love reading comments. Subscribe and share this, because the information that we're able to share together can make a difference for so many people all around the world. And that's the point of this community. I want to talk to you for a second. So I lived in Jamaica, and I came to United States. And when I came to United States, I had a very, very heavy Jamaican accent. I moved to Newark, New Jersey. And let's just say that having a heavy Jamaican accent in Newark, New Jersey, I was made fun of all the time, bullied, got into fights, all this other stuff. And I remember I just had a fight. I went home, and my mother said, when you go back to school, you have your shoulders back, you have your chest up, and you look everyone straight in the eye, and you walk with confidence. Now, I just gotten beat. Okay, I just got beat up. So the next day, I'm walking to class, and, I'm remembering and replaying what she said. I'm walking with my shoulders back, my chest up, and I see the guy that I just got in a fight with 24 hours ago. And I look at him, and he looks at me, and I'm doing my best to keep my shoulders and my chest up even higher. And he just kind of looks at me and goes, psh, and just keeps walking. Now, 24 hours ago, we got in a fight. 24 hours ago, I also got beat up. There's a different conversation. But he just walked by. And I remember going home, having a conversation with my mom, and she's like, how did you carry yourself today? And I'm like, da. What I didn't understand was that she just gave me a lesson on leadership. Didn't understand that. I want to talk to you about how you show up. When you're a leader in any field, before you say a word, people are already deciding, will they follow you? Will they listen to you? Are you worthy of being listened to? You look on either side of them, you see lions. If you ever watch lions on a plane when they're walking, they are just such regal creatures. You ever see hyena? You ever see a hyena walk? They're powerful, but you ever see how their heads are down? Now, I don't think that's a confidence issue. I just think it's just where they're designed. But I also think it's very interesting that all around the world, when people respect these creatures, meaning lions, they always have these powerful poses where their head's back, their chests are up, because it's how you show up. In 2010, there was a study that was done, and I'm going to listen to this. Here's the title of it. Brief, nonverbal displays affect neuroendocrine levels and risk tolerance. That's the study in 2010. And here's the point of this. It showed that when you do something called power posing, instead of slouching over, shaking your hand like this, you raise yourself. You look someone in the eye. You have your chest up. You have your back straight. You lean forward with emphasis. You shake a hand with strength. That it raises your testosterone level and lowers your cortisol level, even if it's momentarily. That's why it's called brief. Just that one moment, the moment you find yourself slouching and you sit up straight, the moment that you're in a meeting and everyone's kind of hunched over and you sit up straight, the moment that happens, you're displaying non-verbal cues of dominance. Let me break this down for you. When you're a leader in a field, your ability to be read immediately is everything. If people look at you and they see you slouching, they see you hunching, they see your head down, they see all of that, they've already decided you're not worthy to follow. Now, I'm not saying to you that if you've achieved a level of tremendous financial success that you can't be followed. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when people look at you, you're already communicating to them everything that they need to know about you in that moment. And they're making instantaneous choices about who you are. There was an event that I went to once as a business conference. And everyone was kind of mingling and this whole thing. And this gentleman walks into the room. And he was not dressed up, super dressed up. He was not wearing anything flashy or bling, none of that. But man, when he walked in this room, I remember everyone's head turning, including my own. What I also remember was when his wife came in right behind him. She was the exact same way. So every man and woman that I noticed, including myself, looked at just how they walked into the room. And instantaneously, here's what's going through our heads. I wonder who they are. I wonder what they do. Man, they seem really together. I didn't realize until later, I started playing all of these things in my head. I had no idea anything about these people. But just the way they carried themselves into that room gave me a desire to want to get to know them. You see, when you power pose, a second point I want you to realize is that you are lowering stress and you increase your ability to make decisions. When you have a high cortisol level, that's a stress hormone, your brain doesn't function at the same level. But when you engage in like a physiology, Tony Robbins talks about all the time about like he would get himself in state. When you engage in a physiology of confidence, your body feels that whatever the situation is, you're figuring it out. Have you ever seen someone who's really stressed out? They're always, their head's down, they're hunched over. You're telling your brain, we're screwed. We don't know how we're going to figure this out. But the moment you give your body a trigger, hey, sit up straight, let's figure this out right now, you are literally raising your testosterone and lowering your cortisol. Everyone, I want you to get this. Just by having posture, physical posture that displays confidence, you are literally changing the chemical reactions in your body. Wow. Look, and here's what happens. What begins to happen is once you start to feel the way that feels, do it right now. Some of you might be slouched over watching this. Just do it right now. Just when you're sitting at your desk, when you're doing your Zoom meetings, when you're in front of an audience, when you're walking down the street, when you're going grocery shopping, track yourself. Track how other people look at you when you walk in. Like just see, ladies and gentlemen, just see how the world reacts to you, just for you, displaying yourself like you're royalty. There is something to be said about how you see yourself. How you see yourself really matters. How you see yourself shows up. And the small little changes that give you non-verbal dominance in a situation could be as simple as just a slight adjustment of how you sit. But why is this important? Because the moment you begin to create a little bit of momentum, just a little bit, in other words, you go from slouching to sitting up straight. That's a little momentum. Don't discount that. Instead of giving a dead fish handshake, you give a firm handshake, looking someone in the eye. Don't discount that. That's a big deal, man or woman. This lady said, my gosh, your handshake is so firm. I said, no, your handshake isn't. Just firm it up. I don't want to weaken mine for you. Make yours stronger for me. She started laughing, but the second time we shook hands, you better believe it was firm. Ladies, this isn't a male thing or a female thing. This is just a how you carry yourself thing. The other part of it is that the moment you get those small little wins, you're creating a bio loop feedback. You're creating a feedback system where all of a sudden you're starting to look for more areas to win in. You see, because how you see yourself will determine how the world sees you. Now, I was having this conversation with a young man, and we were talking about sports, and we were talking about, that he was talking about what he felt the difference was between athletes today versus athletes years ago. And, the YouTube clips he watched. He's like, man, it just seemed like people were more aggressive back then. I said, I don't know if people were more aggressive. I just think people are, just so you know, to be a professional athlete, get paid millions of dollars. You can't be wired like everybody else. You have to be a different beast. You're a different beast. But inside of that world of being a beast, there's some alpha beasts. And everybody in any sport knows, anybody in any company knows that they're a beast. To work at a company, you're a beast. But there are also alpha beasts that are inside of that company. And they just command different. How are you commanding? Well, are you in a leadership role right now? And I'm telling you, whether you have an official title or you don't, you are in a leadership role. Your kids are watching you. Your family's watching you. Your coworkers are watching you. Your employees are watching you. How do you show up? Do you show up like in a defeated day, or do you show up like, I got this? No matter what the situation is, are you walking into that situation like, I got this? Or are you walking in a situation like, the situation's got me? Because just how you show up will either inspire the confidence of your team, or it will have them begin to question, well, God, if this is my leader and my leader looks defeated, what chance do we have? I don't know. It doesn't look very good for us. So here's 5 things you can do. And I just want you to just think about these 5 things. I want you to implement these 5 things, because if you implement these 5 things for yourself, you're going to show up in the world very, very different. Here's the first one. Practice how you show up in the world right now. Right now. Like, go to the refrigerator with an attitude of dominance. Make your bed with an attitude of dominance. Some people are going to call you cocky just because they're insecure. You're going to see it. Some people are like, oh, she thinks she's all that, or he thinks he's all that. And your response should be yes. You should be thinking you're all that, because you are all that. Don't shrink into other people's stuff. So number 1, manage your posture constantly. Practice it. Everywhere you go. When you write your name on a paper, write it like you're an absolute boss. When you go grocery shopping, when you turn on your car, walk to your car like you are absolutely it. You're it. When you walk into your meetings, if you're leading a team of people, when you walk into that meeting, no matter what the situation is, never show your team fear, doubt, worry, anger, upset. Never. Always show confidence, 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 confidence. No matter what. They could be like, there's a meteor flying to Earth right now. We're all in trouble. Say, no worry. I got it. I know this cave will be fine. Like, you have to have this mentality. And the mentality has to show physically. You can't say powerful things with weak posture. You have to say powerful things with powerful posture. Here's the second thing. Manage your stress. Now, what do I mean by manage your stress? Stress is the greatest thing. Men, just for a second, men, the thing that will give you the biggest belly fat is stress. I don't know if you know this or not. It's not your wings. It's not your chips. Don't get me wrong. That's bad. But for men carry stress in their midsection. I don't know if you knew this or not. And you could exercise and do all those other things. But if you carry high stress, it's going to show up literally in your midsection. You've got to lower your stress. How do you do that? You always have to know that there's always an answer to every single situation. Doesn't matter. You can't think straight, though, if you're always worried about the situation. You can't. You have to know that there's always an answer in every single situation. Your role and the gift of a problem is for you to solve it like a Rubik's Cube. Okay, there's an answer in here. How do I solve this? I know there's an answer, because a problem will always have a solution. That's why you have 2 words. It's not just problem. It's problem solution. There's always a solution. But if you get yourself all worked up and all stressed out, you can't think straight. And when you can't think straight, you can't execute. So you've got to manage your stress, and you got to know that there's always an answer. No matter what, for whatever you're going through, that's a fact. When you're doing your day, ask yourself right now, where am I? Where's my energy? Is my energy at a 10 or is that a 1? Anything in the middle, it doesn't matter. You could say I'm at a 3 or 4, 5, doesn't matter. You have to keep yourself at 10. If you're moving through life like a 10, you will attract 10 things. Things that are high vibratory things. If you're moving through life like everything's a problem, everyone's against you, then you're going to move through life like a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or any other number. But any other number is not a 10. And because every other number is not a 10, it means that the situation you're in, you're deciding is actually bigger than your ability to supersede it. And that's a big, big problem. So you need to make sure that no matter what it is, you exude 100% confidence. I've got this. Here's another thing you want to do is you want to be resilient. Now, when I say, I'm going to say cultivate resilience. Now, let me explain when I say cultivate resilience what that means. It means I've got to do something that puts my body, my mind in an uncomfortable position. You know why exercise? You ever notice that like very successful people work out? You ever notice that? Why do you think that is? Why do you think very successful people work out? Is it just because they like to look good? Yes. But they also value themselves at a very high level. The way you live your life, the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you exercise tells me the value you put on your life. That it does. Now you could say, no, I'm just busy. Really? Too busy to do jumping jacks? You're too busy to do 10 push-ups? What are you too busy to do? When you exercise or when you do something that requires resilience means it takes effort, it's not easy to do, and I have to consciously make myself do it. You see, you have to consciously make yourself choose to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. You're developing resilience. You're actually building your self-esteem. You see, when you look at a person who is in shape and you know you're not, you automatically look at them at like a higher level because you're seeing that someone has a little bit more discipline or a lot more discipline. And it's not that you can't have it. It's not that you can't have it. It's that you haven't made the choice to go get it yet. So you could sit and look at them with envy and while you eat your, whatever you eat. And you're looking at them like, she thinks she's all that with her perfectly toned body. Or he thinks he's all that with his perfect shoulders. You could sit there and be a hater if you want to, but they've developed resilience. And they go into a situation very different than the average person because they've already shown themselves the ability to do what is difficult by choice. See, it's one thing to be in a difficult situation and figure your way out. I just talked about that. It's another thing to put yourself in a difficult situation by choice with repetition, to willingly go and do something that hurts you on purpose and then get up and do it again and do it again. I would love to eat that. That tastes so good. However, I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to eat that. That tastes pretty good, but I'm eating for life. I'm not eating for taste. Big difference. Here's another thing you want to do is to cultivate a confident mindset. Now, what do I mean by that? So when you engage in any form of an activity, right, that requires for you to look at a situation multi-directionally. Now, I had this conversation and I was talking to one of my mentors and I said, I'm just trying to figure this situation out and I'm just a little frustrated by it. And he said, well, why? And I said, well, I've been doing this and it's not working. I've been doing that. It's not working. I'm just trying to figure out why nothing seems to be working. And here's what he says. He said, here's what you need to do. You need to look at everything with many angles of thought. And you also need to look at a situation and say, okay, what is the now win I can have? What is the now win? I'm working my way up to the big win. But what is the now win? He's like, because if you don't have now wins, it feels like you're never going to win. It builds a confident mindset. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for instance, you have this idea for a business. You've been thinking about it. The problem is you've been thinking about it. You've been thinking about it for a while, right? The moment you go online to register your business, you come with a name. Then you go and you pay the registration fee to register your business. That's a now win. You see, that's a now win. Okay, now I got this business, right? Got this idea. I'm excited about it. Got this business, got this idea, got this name. Do you know nothing exists without a name? In the Bible it talks about God gave a name to everything and gave man the ability to name everything. If you have a business in your mind and it doesn't have a name, well, that's not good. It's one thing to have the name in your head, but the moment you take that name and you go and register that name, now you own the name. You see it one step closer. Have the idea, have the name, registered the name. Now that's my declaration to the world. I got this name. I'm going to go to this website. I'm going to buy the domain to my name because I have this idea that's about to get launched in the world. You see, all those things are simple to do. It's simple to have the idea. You already have the idea. It's also simple to go register the name. It's also simple to pay the $6 to go register the website for the name. But don't discount that, because those things are simple wins. But here's what begins to happen. When you create that series, now you're thinking, okay, I've got these little simple wins now. Okay, now what do I need to do next? And then your brain starts saying, okay, here's what you need to do next. And you need to do this next. And you need to do this next. And next thing you know, all of a sudden, one day you're sitting in this office, and it's your office, or you're looking at your revenues from your business, and you remember when it had no name, but you gave it one. It had no website, but you bought and created one. You just had the concept, but because you were faithful to the concept with the small things, because you managed well the small steps, you gained a bit of momentum. You see, everyone, life is about momentum, but momentums are a sequence of moments. It's the first part of momentum. If you can do things right now in the current moment that will allow for you to move yourself a bit further for the next moment, you've gained momentum. And here's the other thing. It's not always going to be home runs every single time, but you act like it is. Even when you get whooped, you don't walk around like you're whooped. When you get a letdown, a client leaves, you get laid off, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife leaves, all those other things. Most people are going to make it worse because their very physiology gets morphed and it gets shrunk down into their feelings. And what I'm telling you is that if you can move yourself and exert the confidence in your basic sitting, like, I am not going to sit around and be a victim of this moment. I'm going to create momentum. So when I was in school, my girlfriend and I broke up, and you know how, like, you have your first real breakup, like it's really bad and you're very emotional and da 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 da, right? All that drama, right? And so I'm all sad and I'm mopey and da 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 da. And then you have this moment where you're like, you know what? I miss her. I'm gonna give her a call, and you give her a call, and she's not at home. We didn't have cell phones, doing our cell phone thing back then. But I remember talking to her mom, and her mom saying, "Oh, honey, everything will be okay, and you'll be fine. You guys are young. Don't you worry about it." Okay, no problem. Thanks, mom. Her mom. But she wasn't home. Let me tell you where she was. She was out shopping she was at the mall. What? I'm sitting over here all sad. And she's at the mall? What do you mean she's at the mall? She's shopping? Okay, maybe that was her form of therapy. But that was a lot better than me sitting at home being sad. So guess what I did? I hopped on a bus, because, didn't have a car. Hopped on the bus, and I went to a mall. Not the same mall. I went to a mall. Didn't have any money, so I didn't buy anything. But just me moving in a new direction made me feel better. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because it all connects to everything I just said. Don't you sit in the situation. Move. You got to move. Got to move. And when you're moving, you've got to move with confidence. You've got to exert your will. You've got to exert your confidence on the situation. Move yourself with authority. So again, recap. Sit, move with confidence. Speak with confidence. Shake a hand with confidence. The bank calls you bad news, fine, no problem. Credit card company calls you bad news, no problem. Doctor says something crazy. Family member says something crazy. Coworker says something crazy. Don't you let your whole body morph into the situation. Don't sit in the situation. Move immediately. Lower your stress. Lower your stress by understanding whatever it is. I got it. Whatever. I got it. I'm good. Exert your confidence. Eye contact all the time. Doing things also that cultivate your resilience. Doing things that you choose to do that are not easy to do, that you choose to do. Maybe right now, you getting down on the floor and you doing 15 push-ups would be hard to do. But the victory would come in the fact that you made yourself knowingly get down on that floor and do those hard 15. You may have to do it in 2 sets. I don't know where you are right now, but I do know this. I do know that if you do something that requires for you to choose to do it, knowing it's hard, you begin to build resilience. You begin to cultivate that little bit of resilience, that little bit of something that says, you know what, I'm different. I'm built a little bit different than most people. I don't know about how y'all are built, but I'm built. I made myself go do that. You didn't want to do that. I made myself go take that walk. I made myself go read that book. And the book was the size of, War and Peace. Like, I made myself go do that. I made myself go do what is hard. And because I did that, I have a little bit more self-esteem, because I know the thing that was hard to do that I didn't want to do is the same thing that was what I was supposed to do. Usually the thing that you don't want to do is actually the thing that you really do want to do. You just don't do it. Like, that there's certain things you're supposed to do, but you don't do it because the moment that you're in is comfortable. And to do that is uncomfortable. But here's what's crazy. Usually when you do the uncomfortable now, your life can be a lot more comfortable later. That's what I find is the last part. What is the small things you're going to do? Small, micro. Doesn't have to be macro, micro. What is the small victory you can create right now? Not next week. Not let me check the charts of the Egyptian calendar for the next winter solstice. Like right now. What can I do right now? What is the thing I can do right now that is a small victory, but is showing me that I'm intentional? Just the example of naming the company. Just that alone. Just an example, writing out your goals and having the company name. Whatever that promotion you're going for. Investigating that promotion. What is the thing that you can do that is something that is hands-on manageable for you right now? You don't need to hire consultants right now. You just hands-on, I'm going to go do something right this second. And the thing I'm going to go do right this second is the thing that's going to put me on a level of now momentum. A lot of people do it, but they don't follow through with it. Here's an example of an easy one. They buy the new sneakers for the workouts they're going to do for the new year. That created a momentum. But if they didn't set the appointment to go to the gym, they just lost momentum. So a simple step can make all the difference, but you have to have the next step after that. You have the name, you registered the name, you got the domain for the name, now you got to go do it. So don't be just excited about, I created my domain name. Whew, wait till you see me next year. No, it's I just created my name. Now, what do I need to do next? Always ask yourself, what do I need to do next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? When you have a what's next and you approach your what's next with excitement, instead of I got to do this, I get to do this because I know what the outcome is going to be. Why? Because I have extreme confidence. Why? Because I'm taking ownership of my situation. I'm taking ownership of my outcome. I have made my choice that I'm going to win. And the situation that works for me, everything works for me. The problems work for me. The rewards work for me. The success works for me because I am in control of an outcome. Now, not everyone's going to believe that. Some people are going to see this and say, this guy's talking crazy. That's not how life works. No, that's not how your life works. But that's not, don't put your trauma on me. I'm good. Don't put your voodoo on me. I didn't say every day was going to be perfect, but what I did say is this: how you show up will determine the outcome inevitably. The victim you or the victor you, both of you are living in the same body at the same time. Both of you are breathing the same air, but how you express yourself, that's everything. So leaders, power pose. Leaders have confidence. Leaders show up with power in every single situation. Don't sit in a situation. Make your decisions determine your outcomes, not your situations to determine your outcomes.
If you actually took time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you. See, the definition of sight is the faculty or power of seeing.